10 years, burnt out and ready to hit the reset. Walking away without a plan. Am I crazy? We're all a little bit crazy. Let's be honest. We're all pretty sadistic, pretty wild people out here. So let's get into it. Howdy, Fi guys. 10 years, 10 long years in the same job. It started off as something I was excited about, working in public health, feeling like I was making a difference, climbing the ladder at a steady pace. But somewhere along the line, the spark faded. Maybe it was the bureaucracy. Maybe it was the endless meetings that could have been in emails. And there. Or maybe it was watching my colleagues get sucked into petty office politics while I sat at my desk wondering, is this it? Lately, the drama has become unbearable. Leadership changes, budget cuts, infighting. It feels like I spend more time navigating the workplace nonsense than actually doing my job. And I'm over it. Every morning I wake up and I stare at my laptop, dreading another day of the same mind-numbing routine. I think a lot of us can relate to that, actually.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. I used to be passionate about the field, but now I feel like I'm just going through the motions. So here's what I'm thinking. Rather than jump from one job to another, I want to hit the pause button. No more back-to-back Zoom calls, no more endless email chains about nothing, and no more Sunday night anxiety. Oof. I want a full reset. A few months for just me. I've got enough savings to cover over a year's worth of expenses. Very nice. But I'm thinking about taking just 3 months off. Just 3 months. Enough to breathe, travel, knock out some personal projects that have been collecting dust, and maybe even rediscover what I actually want to do next. Once I'm ready, I'll start job hunting again. And I'm open to moving anywhere in the US. With my experience, I know I won't have trouble finding something when the time comes, but for the first time in a decade, I want to make the decision that isn't driven by fear or obligation. I want to make one that's actually for me. So, the question I have for you, what do you think? Have either of you taken the leap like this? Quitting a job without another one lined up? Not out of desperation, but out of a need to reset? Any advice, words of warning, or just general thoughts? From 10 years in the grind, now it's time to unwind. I love it. I love it. Well, I think this is going to be more your expertise, Chris. You've lived that life, and you know a lot about that. You want to dive deep into this one?
Yeah, before I do, though, Dominic, do you have any thoughts on this one? I know you said that you were excited to read this one when we got this letter.
Yeah. I love this. I love this. I think maybe not everyone. I do think, I'm lying. I think everybody should have a great reset during their professional life, right? I think it's so important that you rediscover yourself. I mean, you're not the same person you were 10 years ago. You're not the same person you're going to be in 10 years, right? So I think it's so important to, sometimes you got to walk off the beaten path a little bit and find your way again, only to realize that the original path wasn't the path for you. So I'm excited for this guy. I wish I was doing that myself, honestly. I love it. Maybe it's inspired me. Maybe next week I'll be unemployed. I don't know. Life is crazy. It's turbulent. You never know. Hopefully by my own volition and not by my bosses. But that being said, has a year's worth of savings. I like that. 3 months. He's thinking about 3 months. I wonder if 3 months is too much, and I wonder if it's too little. You know, it's kind of up to you. You know, Chris, you know, when you went Coastify, and for those who don't know, maybe you can explain that a little bit more, but you kind of got a little bit bored. You know, you had to fill your day with stuff and get back to work, right? You took a year off. Was it a year or maybe?
I was gonna take a full year off, and I couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it. Yeah. Oh, and just curious, what kind of stopped you from taking that fully? I mean, because most people hear that and they're like, dude, if I got the money, I got the time, I'm taking the full year off. Like, I'm gonna catch up on all my shows. I'm gonna do some travel. Like, what kind of stopped you from that?
Depression, honestly.
Really?
You know, I think all of us we go through life wanting to be bored. hoping that one day I can get to the point where I'm just freaking bored. Like I have nothing to do, right? And I grinded for over a decade. And it sounds like this person did the same thing, saved up a good amount of money in retirement savings, saved up money in emergency savings, saved up money in terms of being able to live day to day. And unlike this person, I was fired from my job. So I do know what this is like for this person, where he asks, have you ever taken a leap of faith like this without a job lined up? Yes, I did. And it wasn't out of desperation. It wasn't out of a need to reset. It was out of, just getting canned for silly office politics, which it sounds like this kind of is, or what he's experiencing. And it's not till you actually get into that moment that you realize that when you're going through work and you're thinking, oh, if I had the money, if I had the time, if I had the things, I would finally be happy. And then you get to the moment that you have the time, you have the resources, you have all the things, and you're not happy. And it kind of takes everything away from you, because you realize that, oh, the happiness wasn't a destination. I'm the problem. I need to fix myself. It's really scary to wake up in the morning and have a bunch of things to do, a lot of tasks to get done. That's scary. But for me, what's even scary is to wake up in the morning and have no idea what you're going to do, because you have no purpose. You have no drive. You have nothing that you're trying to do to get better as a person for yourself, and a person who's in service of other people. I think that's the goal of our life. If you were to ask me, why do we live? Or what's the purpose of life? I would say it's to live. And to live a life well, we have to try to grow in service of ourselves and in the service of the group, in the service of other people, to try to make the world a better place. And you get to choose whatever special technique you have, whatever special life you live, special talents, special genetics, special everything that you are. You get to find what that path is for you to grow yourself, and by extension, grow our civilization, grow consciousness, grow humanity as a whole, and maybe even outside of humanity, animal life, whatever it is. But just doing things in the service of yourself isn't going to do anything. So when it comes to this, I want to talk about the idea of a mini vacation or a mini retirement. If you ask most financial advisors, they would say that's a bad idea. Why would you do that? It's not fiscally responsible to take time off during your working years. But we've talked about the rule of 72, in that if you take the number that you're compounding your money at, here at the Fi Guys, most people use 9%. I like to use 7% because I like to go worst case scenario. So let's go ahead and say that you divide 7 into 72, you get roughly 10.2 years. So that means that your money is going to roughly double every 10 years. And in truth, it's probably going to double every 8 years, maybe even 9 years. But let's go worst case scenario, every 7 years. So if you're young, and I don't know how young this person is, but let's say they're 30 years old, they've saved up, I don't know, $300,000 in retirement savings that they're going to hold on to. And let's just say they just put in the S&P 500. Let's say the S&P 500, which has historically returned 9% on average when you reinvest your dividends, let's say it only returns 7 moving forward. Well, that means by the time this person is 40, that $300,000 has turned to $600,000. By the time they're 50, that $600,000 has turned to $1.2 million. By the time they're 60, that has turned into $2.4 million. And then let's just say they go to 75, or to say they go to 65, traditional retirement age, and they want to retire at that point. They have about $3 million to retire on. That's what Coast Financial Independence allows you to do. It allows you to be able to take a break, take the mini retirement, and still know that in the future, I will be set up. Of course, if you go and you talk to somebody, is it financially responsible for me to take a year off of work, or for me to go from place to place without a job? Everyone's going to say, no, that's a terrible idea. Why would you do that? But they don't know your situation. For them, who has no emergency savings, who has no retirement, who can't put $400 towards their tire if they had a blowout, yeah, leaving their job would be a really bad decision. But for you, to our listener, who has saved up a year, who believes that they can find another job quickly, who has the experience, who has all these things, it might be a good decision. Now, obviously, I don't know enough. You have a year of savings. I don't know what your retirement looks like. I don't know what your expenses look like. I don't know anything about you. You say that you can get another job pretty quickly. I hope you're right. The job market is not wonderful right now. You said that you're in public health, if I remember correctly, which, there's always going to be a need for doctors. I don't know if you're a doctor. I don't know if you're administrative. I don't know what you do. I don't know if you're a nurse. But if you're a nurse or a doctor, I'm pretty sure you're going to be good to go. You'll probably be able to find a job pretty quickly. If you do decide to do this, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to call you crazy. There are going to be a lot of people that try to shout you down. And a lot of the reason they're going to do that is because they are jealous, that they wish they could do it. They wish they put in the grind, that they put in the hustle so that they could do what you're doing. If you decide to take the time off, start out at a month, start out at 3 months, but play it by ear. Play it by feeling. Don't set a definitive timeline, but just go out there and try it. See if you like it. If I was you, I would say, I would try to write down, what is it that I envision for my retirement in 50 years? What is my goal? What is the ultimate place that I'm trying to reach? Maybe that's living in the Bahamas on a beach somewhere. If that's the case, on your vacation, try to book some time on a beach. Maybe you don't have to go to the Bahamas, but try to book some time and try to experience the life that you're growing towards, that you want, that you believe, you think will make you happy. And then go and experience that and see if that's the right life for you. Because I think one of the saddest things that I've seen while working with a lot of retirees is they go their entire life trying to reach this goal, trying to reach this number in their bank account so they can retire, so they can finally be happy, to finally reach that number and realize that it wasn't what they actually wanted, that the goal they chased their entire life was the wrong goal. It was the goal that society put on them. It was the goal that society told you, if you do these things, you will be happy. But society is not always correct. In fact, it's probably often pretty incorrect because everyone is an individual. Everyone gets to decide what is right for them. And that's where the personal side of personal finance comes in. That's where you can't go to somebody and ask, should I take a year off? Should I do these things? It's something that you need to figure out for yourself. Now, of course, there's mathematical models. We can look at all these things and make sure, like, hey, statistically, you're probably going to be okay doing this. There is never 100% accuracy. No one knows what the future holds. But that's the reason that you put in this hard work over the past 10 years to save money, to grow your skill set. And who knows, maybe by the time you want to go back to work, you decide that it's time to change careers.
Yeah.
We're in a time nowadays that you don't have to be subservient to the same type of career path. You can pivot every 5 years, 2 years, 4 years, 1 year if you want to try new careers. I think today, especially with the advent of artificial intelligence, trying to be somebody who only specializes in one thing is a fool's errand, because AI decides to get really good in that one thing that you are really good in, you're done. It can reiterate so much faster than you can. But the thing that human beings have the propensity to do better than anything else is adapt and learn and be able to see interconnected things better than anything else. So go out, try, seek, find things that you enjoy. And I would say go for it, but only go for it if you feel comfortable, if your finances are right. If you need help looking at that to make sure statistically you'll be on the right path, you can always reach out to me, Chris at monzonwealth.com, or you can go to monzonwealth.com. That's MONZON Wealth. There's a book now, book a free strategy session with me, and we can look at everything to make sure that you're on the right path. I'm sure you are. I'm sure you've done knowledge. You clearly listen to the podcast, so I'm sure that everything I've told you sounds familiar, but I want to make sure that you run that for yourself and make sure that you feel comfortable before you go, because if you think it's going to go well, it'll go well. If you think it's going to go poorly, it'll go poorly.
I agree. I got nothing else to add. I think that's all great advice, honestly. And I really hope that you try a lot of new things in that period of off time, right? If you've never been surfing, go try surfing. If you never tried painting, go try painting. Maybe take a cooking class. Do something fun. Do something memorable that your older self would appreciate. But yeah, with that being said, thanks for writing in.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests, not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.